Frankfurt, Germany, 1831. Arthur Schopenhauer sat in his empty lecture hall, waiting for students who would never arrive. Across campus, Hegel's auditorium overflowed. Standing room only. Students crammed into hallways just to hear him speak. Same university, same subject, philosophy. But here's what Schopenhauer refused to admit. It wasn't about who had better ideas. Schopenhauer's philosophy was objectively more rigorous, more original, more profound. So why did everyone flock to Hegel while avoiding Schopenhauer like plague? Because they could feel it. Before Schopenhauer opened his mouth, before he presented his arguments, something invisible radiated from him, a signal that repelled people at an unconscious level. Bitterness, resentment, superiority disguised as intellect. Contempt for those too stupid to understand him. And here's the brutal truth modern psychology now confirms. Your perception broadcasts before you speak. Your internal state creates an invisible signal that others detect unconsciously. And that signal determines your reality more than any action you take. The question isn't whether you're smart, talented, or right. The question is, what signal are you broadcasting right now? And is it sabotaging everything you touch? Chapter 1. The Rise. Schopenhauer's Invisible Enemy. Frankfurt, 1818. Arthur Schopenhauer was 30 years old when he published The World as Will and Representation. His masterwork, the philosophical treatise he believed would revolutionize Western thought. He wasn't wrong about the quality. The book was brilliant, dense, original. It synthesized Kant, Plato, and Eastern philosophy into a unified metaphysical system that explained suffering, desire, reality itself. Schopenhauer waited for recognition, for acclaim, for the philosophical world to acknowledge his genius. Instead, silence. The book sold 100 copies in 7 years. Reviewers ignored it. Academics dismissed it. Publishers refused to print more. Meanwhile, Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, whose dialectical idealism Schopenhauer considered incoherent nonsense, dominated German philosophy. Universities taught Hegel exclusively. Students worshipped him. His books sold thousands. Schopenhauer's response? Rage. Not the productive kind that fuels improvement. The poisonous kind that contaminates everything. He wrote scathing attacks on Hegel's charlatanism. He publicly mocked students who praised that windbag. He complained bitterly about the stupidity of the masses who couldn't recognize true philosophy. In 1820, Schopenhauer secured a teaching position at the University of Berlin, Hegel's university. Finally, his chance to prove his superiority. He deliberately scheduled his lectures at the exact same time as Hegel's. A direct challenge, forcing students to choose. They chose Hegel. Schopenhauer's first lecture. 5 students. By the 3rd week, 0. Hegel's auditorium, overflowing every single session. Schopenhauer was devastated, humiliated. But rather than examine why, he doubled down. The masses are imbeciles. True genius is never recognized in its time. He withdrew from academia, moved to Frankfurt, lived alone with his poodle, spent 3 decades writing brilliant philosophical works that almost nobody read. And here's what makes this story tragic. Schopenhauer was partially right. His philosophy was better than Hegel's in many ways. History eventually proved this. Decades after his death, Schopenhauer's ideas influenced Nietzsche, Freud, Jung, Einstein. But recognition came too late. He died bitter, lonely, convinced the world was too stupid to understand him. What he never understood, what destroyed his career and poisoned his life, was this. It wasn't his ideas that people rejected. It was the signal he broadcasted. Every interaction, every lecture, every conversation radiated. You're too stupid to understand me. I'm superior. I resent you for not recognizing my genius. People didn't consciously think this. They felt it at an unconscious, visceral level, and they avoided him. Not because of his philosophy, because of his energy. This is the truth Schopenhauer spent his entire life running from. Your internal state broadcasts before you speak. And that broadcast determines everything. Chapter 2. The Principle. The Philosophy of the Signal. Let me explain what Schopenhauer couldn't see about himself, using ironically his own philosophy. In The World as Will and Representation, Schopenhauer argued that beneath conscious perception lies the will, a blind, striving force that drives all existence. The will precedes representation. It shapes how you see the world before you're consciously aware of seeing anything. But here's what Schopenhauer missed applying to himself. Your will, your internal state, your perception, your energy, broadcasts outward continuously through thousands of microsignals that others detect unconsciously. This isn't mysticism. This is neuroscience. Modern research confirms. Before you speak, your body language, facial microexpressions, tone preparation, eye movements, and even biochemical signals, pheromones, stress hormones, communicate your internal state to others. Mirror neurons in their brains activate. They unconsciously feel your emotional state. They detect congruence or incongruence between your words and your energy. When Schopenhauer walked into that lecture hall, before he said one word about philosophy, students felt resentment, body tension, contracted posture, contempt, subtle facial disgust expressions, bitterness, vocal tonality, energy depletion, superiority, unconscious distancing behaviors. Their unconscious minds registered threat, discomfort, avoid. When Hegel walked into his lecture hall, students felt confidence, relaxed, open posture, enthusiasm, energized presence, connection, inclusive eye contact, validation, making them feel intelligent. Their unconscious minds registered safety, inspiration, approach. Content didn't matter. Ideas didn't matter. The signal determined everything. This is what modern books like Glow They Never Saw and Law of the Signal have rediscovered. You broadcast your perception constantly, and reality responds to that broadcast. Not metaphysically, mechanically. Your perception shapes your micro-behaviors. Your micro-behaviors shape others' unconscious responses. Their responses shape opportunities, relationships, outcomes. Those outcomes reinforce your original perception. It's a closed loop, a self-fulfilling prophecy driven by signal, not content. The Stoics understood this centuries before neuroscience confirmed it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." Not positive thinking, signal management. Aurelius didn't try to control external events. He disciplined his perception, his internal state, knowing that state would broadcast and shape how others responded to him. Epictetus taught, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. Your views, your perception, precedes your signal. Change the perception, change the signal, change the reality. But here's the uncomfortable part nobody wants to hear. You can't fake the signal. Schopenhauer tried. He said the right words, presented brilliant arguments, but his energy betrayed him. His bitterness leaked through every micro-expression, every tonal shift, every unconscious gesture. People didn't consciously analyze this, they just knew. Something's off. I don't trust him. I need to leave. This is why fake it till you make it doesn't work. Because faking requires conscious effort, but broadcasting happens unconsciously. The signal comes from deeper than your control, your subconscious programs, your unexamined beliefs, your real feelings about yourself and the world. If deep down you believe, people are stupid, the world is against me, I'm superior but unrecognized, success only comes to the undeserving, you'll broadcast that every second. in ways you can't consciously control, and reality will respond accordingly. This is the mechanism Schopenhauer discovered philosophically but never applied personally. This is the truth that destroyed his career despite his genius. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And what you are broadcasts continuously, whether you know it or not. Chapter 3. The Test, When Reality Reflects the Signal, Frankfurt, 1844. Schopenhauer, now 56, witnessed something that should have revealed the truth, but instead deepened his bitterness. A young philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche, not yet famous, visited him. Eager, respectful, curious about the world as will and representation. Finally, validation, someone who understood. They spoke for 3 hours. Nietzsche asked brilliant questions. Schopenhauer explained his philosophy with passion. But something happened that Schopenhauer noticed but misinterpreted. As the conversation progressed, Nietzsche's enthusiasm dimmed. His posture became more closed, his responses more guarded. By the end, Nietzsche thanked him politely and left quickly. Schopenhauer's interpretation? Even promising minds get corrupted by the mediocrity around them. But here's what actually happened, what Nietzsche later wrote in his private journals. Schopenhauer's ideas are profound, but the man himself radiates such contempt, such resentment, that I felt suffocated. He speaks of compassion as the highest virtue, yet shows none. He describes the will's blindness, yet remains blind to his own. The philosophy is brilliant. The philosopher is poisoned. Nietzsche left that meeting not rejecting Schopenhauer's ideas, but recognizing a warning. Brilliant philosophy means nothing if your signal contradicts it. Years later, Nietzsche would write, "Beware that, when fighting monsters, you yourself do not become a monster." He was thinking of Schopenhauer, a man who diagnosed the world's suffering but became consumed by his own. The test continued throughout Schopenhauer's life. Test 1. The Publisher Meeting, 1845. A publisher expressed interest in reprinting The World as Will and Representation. During negotiations, Schopenhauer couldn't help himself. He complained about previous publishers' stupidity, readers' ignorance, Hegel's charlatanism. The publisher's enthusiasm died. He made a minimal offer. Schopenhauer accepted bitterly, confirming his belief. Publishers only care about profit, not truth. Real reason, the publisher unconsciously detected, this man will be difficult, entitled, bitter, not worth the trouble. Test 2. The Dinner Party, 1848. A wealthy patron invited Schopenhauer to a gathering of intellectuals. An opportunity for connection, influence, recognition. Schopenhauer attended, spoke brilliantly about aesthetics, metaphysics, the nature of suffering, but every statement carried an undertone. I'm explaining this because you're too stupid to understand without my help. People listened politely. Nobody engaged deeply, and nobody invited him to future events. Schopenhauer's conclusion? Shallow people only care about socializing, not ideas. Real reason? His signal broadcast, superiority, judgment, contempt. People's unconscious minds registered, not safe, not enjoyable. Avoid. Test 3. The Young Student, 1850. A gifted student wrote to Schopenhauer, praising his work, asking for guidance. Schopenhauer replied, but his letter dripped with condescension. If you truly understood my philosophy, you wouldn't need to ask such basic questions. But I suppose I should help those less intellectually capable. The student never wrote back. Schopenhauer's interpretation. Another mediocre mind who can't handle serious philosophy. Real reason. The student unconsciously felt the signal. You're inferior. I'm doing you a favor. You should be grateful. And decided, this isn't mentorship. This is abuse disguised as wisdom. Every test, every opportunity, failed not because of circumstances, but because Schopenhauer's signal sabotaged him before conscious interaction even began. The tragic irony: his philosophy explained this mechanism perfectly, but he never applied it to himself. He wrote, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone." But the deeper truth he missed: a man is most himself when his signal matches his consciousness, when what he broadcasts aligns with what he believes he is. Schopenhauer believed he was a misunderstood genius, but he broadcast bitter, resentful, contemptuous. The dissonance was palpable. People felt it even if they couldn't name it, and they responded accordingly. Chapter 4. Philosophical Psychology. The mechanism of the signal. Let's dissect exactly how this mechanism works, combining Schopenhauer's philosophy, Stoic wisdom, and modern neuroscience. Layer 1. Schopenhauer's will as subconscious program. In The World as Will and Representation, Schopenhauer argued that the will, blind, striving, irrational, precedes and shapes conscious perception. Modern psychology calls this subconscious programming. Your subconscious contains beliefs, patterns, programs formed from past experiences. These programs run automatically, below conscious awareness. I'm not good enough. People can't be trusted. Success requires struggle. The world is hostile. These programs shape perception. You don't see reality. You see reality filtered through your programs. And critically, these programs broadcast through microsignals before you consciously act. Schopenhauer's subconscious programs: I'm superior to others. The world doesn't recognize true genius. People are intellectually inferior. I deserve recognition but won't receive it. These programs shaped his perception, and that perception broadcast continuously through facial expressions, contempt micro-expressions, vocal tonality, condescension, posture, superiority distancing, eye contact, dismissive gazes, energy, resentful vibration. People didn't analyze these consciously, they felt them unconsciously and responded with avoidance. Layer 2. Stoic perception. Management, Marcus Aurelius, understood what Schopenhauer didn't. You must discipline your perception before it broadcasts. Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This isn't motivational. This is signal engineering. Aurelius practiced daily perception audits. What am I believing right now? Is this belief useful or destructive? What am I broadcasting unconsciously? How must I reframe to change my signal? Premeditatio malorum. Negative visualization. Imagine worst outcomes to remove fear from your signal. Amor fati, love of fate. Accept reality completely to remove resistance from your signal. Memento mori, remember death. Contemplate mortality to remove pettiness from your signal. These practices weren't philosophical exercises. They were signal optimization techniques. By disciplining perception internally, Aurelius controlled what he broadcast externally. People unconsciously felt calm, regulated nervous system, strength, grounded presence, safety, non-threatening energy, wisdom, integrated being. This made him effective as emperor, not through manipulation, through congruent signaling. Layer 3. Modern neuroscience of unconscious detection, research from Paul Ekman, micro-expressions, Antonio Damasio, somatic markers, and mirror neuron studies confirms. People detect your emotional state unconsciously through micro-expressions, 1/25th second facial movements, vocal prosody, tone, rhythm, pitch patterns, autonomic nervous system leakage, pupil dilation, skin conductance, pheromone signaling, biochemical stress markers, mirror neuron activation, unconscious emotional contagion. When you feel resentment, your nervous system activates threat responses. Others' mirror neurons detect this. Their unconscious registers: danger, avoid. When you feel genuine calm confidence, your nervous system settles. Others detect this. Their unconscious registers: safety, approach. You can't fake this. Conscious attempts to act confident while feeling fearful create incongruence, mismatched signals that trigger even stronger avoidance responses. This is why fake it till you make it fails. The signal always betrays the truth. Layer 4. The self-fulfilling prophecy. Loop. Here's how the mechanism completes. Subconscious belief: I'm unrecognized genius. Shapes perception: people are too stupid to understand. Broadcasts signal: contempt, resentment, superiority. Others respond unconsciously: avoidance, dismissal. Outcome confirms belief: see, nobody recognizes me. Loop reinforces: belief strengthens, signal intensifies. Schopenhauer lived in this loop for 50 years. Each rejection strengthened his belief that the world was stupid. That strengthened his resentful signal. That caused more rejection. He called it the world's inability to recognize genius. It was, actually, his signal, creating the reality he feared. Layer 5. The solution. Nobody wants to hear. Books like Glow They Never Saw and Law of the Signal rediscovered what the Stoics knew. You must change the subconscious program to change the signal to change the reality, not through. Affirmations: conscious layer. Positive thinking: conscious layer. Fake confidence: conscious layer. Through behavioral micro-habits that reprogram the unconscious, perception discipline that changes the filter, identity transformation that shifts the signal at the source. This requires something Schopenhauer never did: honest self-examination without ego defense. The question isn't, why doesn't the world recognize me? The question is, what signal am I broadcasting that creates this reality? And what must I change internally to broadcast differently? Most people, like Schopenhauer, never ask this question because the answer is too uncomfortable. It's easier to blame the world than to examine your signal. Chapter 5. The Transformation, Late Recognition, Bitter Victory. Frankfurt, 1854. Schopenhauer, now 66, experienced something unexpected: recognition. His works started selling. Younger philosophers referenced him. Universities began teaching his ideas. Why the sudden change? Not because the world got smarter, because he withdrew completely from social interaction. Living alone, writing in isolation, he stopped broadcasting his toxic signal directly to people. They could engage with his ideas without experiencing his energy. The philosophy shined when separated from the philosopher, but the recognition came too late. And it was bitter. Students who praised his work would visit him. Within one conversation, they'd understand why nobody listened earlier. The brilliance was real, but the signal was poisonous. One student wrote, "His philosophy preaches compassion, but the man himself radiates contempt. The disconnect is disturbing." Schopenhauer noticed people's reactions, but misinterpreted them to the end. They praise the work, but can't handle the truth of my personality. Genius is always misunderstood. No, they praised the work, but couldn't endure the signal. In 1857, 3 years before his death, Schopenhauer wrote in his journal, "I have finally achieved the recognition I deserved all along. But it brings no joy. The years of isolation have calcified into permanent bitterness. I no longer care." The tragedy. He never understood why recognition came late. He attributed it to the world's slowness, not to his signal finally being removed from the equation. He died in 1860, famous but alone, celebrated but unloved. His last words, reportedly, "The world was too stupid to understand me in time." But the truth he never grasped. The world felt his signal before hearing his ideas, and the signal said, stay away. Decades later, Nietzsche would reflect on Schopenhauer. He was right about suffering, wrong about how to transcend it. He diagnosed the disease while embodying its symptoms. His philosophy was medicine, his life was poison. But Schopenhauer's tragedy reveals something even darker, a pattern operating in millions of lives right now, including yours. The signal you don't know you're broadcasting, the perception that's creating your reality. Let's examine how this applies to you. Chapter 6. Deep Training. Arc. Engineering your signal. The uncomfortable question, what signal are you broadcasting right now? Not what you think you're projecting, what you're actually radiating at an unconscious level. Most people have zero awareness of their signal. They wonder why. Job interviews go poorly despite qualifications. Dates never lead to relationships despite attraction. Friends gradually distance despite no obvious conflict. Opportunities vanish despite effort. The answer is always the same. Your signal is sabotaging you before conscious interaction begins. Here's how to diagnose and transform your signal. Stage 1. Signal diagnosis. The practices Schopenhauer never did. Practice 1. The perception audit. Every morning before any interaction, ask, what do I believe about today? Not think, believe emotionally. What do I expect from people? What am I assuming about how events will unfold? Write it down. Be brutally honest. If your beliefs are, people are difficult. I'll probably fail. Nobody understands me. The world is hostile. You're broadcasting defensive, resentful, closed energy. People will unconsciously avoid you. Practice 2. The video mirror. Record yourself talking for 60 seconds. Watch with sound off. What does your body language communicate? Closed posture, arms crossed, leaning back. Defensive signal. Tense face, tight jaw, furrowed brow. Threat signal. Rapid movements, fidgeting, shifting. Anxiety signal. Downcast eyes, avoiding contact. Shame signal. Your body broadcasts what your subconscious believes. Practice 3. The social reflection. How do people respond to you immediately upon meeting? Not after conversation. Immediately. Do they lean in? Positive signal detected. Maintain open posture. Safe signal. Smile genuinely. Connection signal. Continue conversation naturally. Engaged signal. Or do they lean back? Threat signal detected. Cross arms. Defensive signal. Smile tightly. Forced politeness. End conversation quickly. Avoidance signal. This reveals what you're broadcasting unconsciously. Stage 2. Subconscious reprogramming. Changing the signal requires changing the programs underneath. Method 1. Micro-habit signal. Shifts, not affirmations. Behavioral changes that reprogram the unconscious. From glow they never saw principle. Skin routine. Disciplined self-care signals. Self-respect to unconscious. Posture, practice. Standing tall programs. Confidence into nervous system. Morning energy ritual. Movement activates non-depressive state. These aren't surface fixes. They're signal engineering through behavior. When you care for your body consistently, your unconscious receives, I'm valuable. That belief broadcasts automatically through microsignals others detect. Method 2. Perception reframe practice. From Marcus Aurelius's method, every negative perception immediately ask, is this belief useful? What signal does it broadcast? How must I reframe? Example. Belief, people don't listen to me. Signal, broadcasted. Resentment, defeated energy. Reframe, I'm learning to communicate more clearly. New signal, open, growth-oriented energy. Not positive thinking. Strategic perception management. Method 3. The law of the signal protocol. From Eric Riven's framework, your perception is literally a frequency. Reality responds to that frequency. To change the frequency, identify negative program, I'm always overlooked. Trace its origin, usually childhood past trauma. Recognize it's outdated. Was survival mechanism then, sabotage now. Install new program through repetition. New belief. New behavior daily. The key, programs change through consistent evidence, not willpower. You don't convince yourself you're confident. You accumulate micro-evidence through small wins until the unconscious updates its belief. Then the signal changes automatically. Stage 3. Signal maintenance. Transformation isn't permanent without daily practice. Schopenhauer's mistake. He never audited his perception, never examined his signal, never questioned his beliefs. The disciplined approach. Daily signal check. 5 minutes. Morning. What perception am I holding? What will this broadcast? Evening. What signal did I radiate today? What needs adjustment? Weekly pattern recognition. 15 minutes. How did people respond to me this week? What signal does that reveal I'm broadcasting? What perception shift would change that signal? Monthly deep audit. 60 minutes. Has my signal improved measurably? What subconscious programs still sabotage me? What practices have shifted my signal successfully? This is what the Stoics called prosoche, attention to vigilance, continuous self-examination, not for self-criticism, for signal optimization. Chapter 7. The final confrontation. The modern Schopenhauer, present day. You are the modern Schopenhauer, not in genius, in pattern. You have ideas, talents, capabilities, but somehow, inexplicably, the world doesn't respond as you think it should. You blame, people don't understand, the system is rigged, others are less talented but more successful. The world rewards superficiality over substance. Sound familiar? Here's the confrontation. What if it's not the world? What if it's your signal? What if your bitterness, however justified, broadcasts before you speak? What if your resentment, however understandable, repels opportunities unconsciously? What if your superiority, however intellectually grounded, makes people avoid you? The test is this. Are you willing to examine your signal honestly? Or will you die like Schopenhauer? Right about many things, but bitter and alone, never understanding why recognition came too late. This is where most people fail, because examining your signal requires admitting you might be the problem. Ego death. Recognizing your perception is distorted, uncomfortable truth. Taking responsibility for the reality you've created. No more blame. Committing to daily signal discipline. Endless work. Most people choose Schopenhauer's path. Blame the world, stay bitter, die unrecognized. The few who choose differently discover what Marcus Aurelius knew. When you control your perception, you control your signal. When you control your signal, reality shifts to reflect it. Not mystically, mechanically. People respond differently. Opportunities appear. Relationships deepen. Life reflects back what you're finally broadcasting clearly. Final reveal. The philosophical truth. You are the signal. Here's the truth modern culture desperately hides. You don't have a signal. You are the signal. Every thought shapes your nervous system. Every belief programs your micro-expressions. Every perception broadcasts through thousands of unconscious channels. You can't separate your real self from your signal. The signal is your real self at the subconscious level. This is what Schopenhauer discovered philosophically but never applied. The will precedes representation. Your unconscious programs precede your conscious perception. Your signal precedes your words. If you want to change outcomes, you must change the signal. If you want to change the signal, you must change the perception. If you want to change the perception, you must change the subconscious programs. Not through thinking. Through behavioral micro-habits, reprogramming through evidence. daily perception audits, catching distorted filters. Ruthless self-honesty, no ego defense allowed. Consistent practice, not motivation, discipline. Books like Glow They Never Saw teach this through practical habits. Law of the Signal teaches this through energetic mechanics. The Stoics taught this through perception discipline. The principle is identical. Your internal state becomes your external reality, not metaphysically, but through the invisible signal you broadcast continuously. Most people spend their lives trying to change outcomes while maintaining the same signal. They wonder why manifestation doesn't work, why affirmations fail, why they can't attract what they want. The answer: you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And what you are broadcasts through your signal, whether you're aware of it or not. Schopenhauer was brilliant, but his signal was poisoned. So the world rejected him until his signal was removed from the equation. You might be talented, but if your signal is wrong, the world will reject you too. Not because of conspiracy, not because of unfairness, because people unconsciously respond to signals more than content, energy more than words, presence more than arguments. This is the uncomfortable truth philosophy reveals and self-help books rediscover. Fix your signal, or spend your life wondering why your brilliance never manifests. Ending. The philosopher's lesson. The choice before you. Schopenhauer died in 1860, recognized but unloved, celebrated but isolated. His last years were spent reflecting on a life that could have been different. Not if the world had been smarter, if he had been wiser about himself. In his final journal entry, he wrote something that suggests he finally understood. Perhaps the world was not too stupid to understand me. Perhaps I was too bitter to let them. A glimmer of self-awareness. Decades too late. You don't have decades. You have now. The same choice Schopenhauer faced is before you. Option 1. Blame the world. Maintain that people don't understand. Opportunities don't come. Success only goes to the undeserving. Stay bitter. Broadcast resentment. Wonder why life reflects that back to you. Option 2. Examine your signal. Ask uncomfortable questions. Audit your perception. Discipline your internal state. Reprogram your unconscious. Change what you broadcast. Watch reality shift accordingly. Most choose option 1. It's easier, more comfortable, requires less ego death, but the few who choose option 2 discover what Marcus Aurelius, the Stoics, and now modern psychology confirms. You have power over your signal, and your signal determines your reality, not through magic, through the mechanical fact that people respond unconsciously to what you broadcast, before you speak, before you act, before you even try. The world needs fewer Schopenhauers, brilliant but bitter, right but alone. The world needs more signal-aware individuals who understand. Transformation happens internally before it manifests externally. Choose carefully, because your signal is broadcasting right now, and reality is responding accordingly. The principle of the invisible signal that Schopenhauer discovered philosophically and failed to apply personally continues today. If this exploration of perception, energy, and the unconscious mechanisms that determine your reality resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to The Gentleman Philosopher. Your subscription helps us create more content like this. Deep philosophical investigations that challenge conventional thinking and reveal uncomfortable truths about human nature, perception, and the invisible forces shaping your life. We're building a community of clear-sighted individuals who refuse comfortable delusions. Men and women who choose philosophical honesty over motivational platitudes. Who study not for entertainment, but for transformation. This isn't a channel about positive thinking or manifesting. This is a channel about understanding the brutal mechanics of perception, signal, and reality creation. Then using that understanding to stop sabotaging yourself unconsciously. If you're tired of wondering why opportunities don't come despite your talents, why people don't respond despite your intelligence, why life doesn't reflect what you consciously want, this community is for you. Because the answer is always the same: your signal is wrong. And only ruthless self-examination can reveal what needs changing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for thinking deeply. Thank you for choosing the harder path of genuine self-awareness over the easier path of blaming the world. Until next time, audit your perception. Because your signal is broadcasting right now, and reality is listening. The world needs more philosophers and fewer deluded masses. Be the former.